Hi, Bibin.
I do them.
Okay, I will start sharing screen. Oh, it's not extending.
Hello everyone.
Hi, hi,
Hello.
Hi.
hi, Shuwei. Yeah, just giving everyone a couple of minutes to enter. Trying to sort my screens out. Okay, so I think everyone is in. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Yeah, let's get started with the pull request. Oh. Remind me later. The first one, 1175, Binbin, we had several discussions around the multi-tenancy support. Are we planning to merge the design doc before or after the implementation?
I feel we can keep it open for a while because it's not blocking anything.
Okay, so do you think we will just like merge this PR after the features being implemented?
I think I'll just keep it open for one more week, and if there are no more comments on it, we can merge it.
Okay, sounds good. 1201, adding namespace to external data request key.
Yeah, I fully already, it's approved by Junchen and you, so I think it's good to go.
Okay, I can merge it now then.
I'm rerunning 2 failed tests.
Due
So,
to intermittent test failures?
yes, I'll merge it after it's passed.
Okay, sounds good. 1209, it's in draft mode. Akash, let us know when we should be reviewing it.
Yeah, this one, I'll try to get to maybe next week. I'll try to finish it up.
Sounds good. Hash isolation is in the do not review status.
Oh, yeah. Yes, this one is based on the previous one, the the namespace to external data request key. So once that PR is merged, I will replace this PR and get it ready.
Sounds good. Thank you. 1215 add version property to the CRD spec. I'm still in progress testing the change to make sure like there's no breaking changes. And I will add a version property to all our samples. So going forward, people would be aware that we have this compatibility check. And Akash, I see you had a question on why this was changed. So I think our definition earlier is incorrect. Artifact type is actually a required field. Otherwise, the artifact cannot be matched against the verifier. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think I'm not sure how the implementation handles if there isn't. Does it check that there's at least one? Otherwise it kind of is a dummy verifier because it's not going to actually get run.
Yeah, so I thought I'll take this opportunity to clean up some of the definitions. So is it okay to just make it a required field?
Sure. Yeah, I think I don't have any objections to that.
Cool. I will update the CRD definition as well. I think in the latest changes, we haven't been marking our definition with the required field, but after this change, artifact type and name would be the required fields for store and verifiers.
Actually, there is one scenario where we would want to keep this optional. This is the scenario which AWS and Venafi currently use to load their notation plugin. Because we don't need to actually run the verifier. So right now they're using this very a dummy artifact type, which wouldn't match anything that we currently support. But potentially you could actually remove that in order to ensure that the verifier is actually never run, because right now it just exists as a way to load the plugin binary into the correct folder. So that's just one way it's possible. But right now they don't use an empty artifact type for that. It's just this generic placeholder artifact type.
Okay, yeah, that's another way to ensure that it doesn't match anything.
Yeah.
Should we tag them to, like, given the change is compatible with how they're using it, do we need to notify them anyway?
I think if our suggestion is to do what the current status quo is, then there's probably no need to ask them. But if we want to switch to an empty artifact type for that implementation, then we would need to inform them that this guidance has changed, and then we would have to not do the change that you have in this PR.
Okay.
It might be
I think
more
from a
overhead for them to move to this new non-artifact type than it is for us to do it. So
yeah, I think from a verifier design perspective, artifact type should be a required field, right?
yes.
Cool. Thanks for confirming. I'll leave the change as is. 1216 is ready for review. We haven't had a chance to look at this one yet, but we'll get to it this week. Akash.
Okay, great, thanks.
Yeah, is this a big change?
No, it's literally just 2 lines that to match the current version of the chart.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, looks good to me. I'll approve it now. Oh, okay, Star Jason. Sorry, I wasn't on the right screen. Yeah, he should be in now. Hi, Sajay. Sorry, I wasn't looking at the right screen.
Hello.
Is this our last PR? Nope, not yet. 1217, update constraint template to work with the new type field. Is this one still in draft?
Yes, yeah. So this actually came from some of the testing that Yi was doing. After we merged the new verifier type PR changes, we actually missed updating the SBOM constraint template as well as the vulnerability constraint template to now search for the type field when it tries to match for the correct report. So this PR updates that. I also noticed that there's no sample constraint.yaml file provided for the SBOM constraint template. So that is going to get added in this PR. The other thing, Susan, that I wanted to run by you was if you wanted to add support for the nested notation signature check that exists in the vulnerability report. I see that the template doesn't actually have that in the SBOM.
Is that nesting validation functionality functional in config policy?
Sorry, what do you mean by that?
So if we configured the SBOM verifier to look for the nested artifact for the notation signature, if that's missing, the overall status of the verification for SBOM would be failure. Is that correct?
Yes, but that's assuming that we want to use the existing default template. So this would be kind of if you layered the templates where you just are concerned with SBOM scenario and then you're concerned with the vulnerability scenario, you would just layer those two specific constraint templates and you wouldn't use the generic default one that we have.
Okay. So that one won't be applied at all.
Yes. Yeah.
Got it. Yeah. Okay. I'll take a look at this one to match the vulnerability report behavior.
Okay. Sounds good.
Yep. And without just a clarification on the status of this PR, without the type validation, does that mean our templates do not support multiple instances of the same verifier?
Yes.
So do we want to port this change in, since our doc is referencing the 1.1 released version?
Yes. Yeah, we'll need to update the change, or we'll have to update the link in the documentation to point to this updated version.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
I don't think it's possible to backport the changes now because we've tagged the release already.
Yeah. The benefits of having the tag is immutable now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Looks good. So I think we don't have anything in.
Sorry, Akash, how did you find this this miss? Did you do like a search? Like, you said you mentioned this when he was trying the verifiers, right?
Yes, yeah. Yi found this one.
Yeah. Did we do any like other sort of search throughout the project, see if there's any other templates or samples that might be referencing the wrong?
Yes, yeah. We did do a search before we merged the verifier type change, but so that's why we updated all the other templates. The vulnerability report and SBOM kind of came at the same time that this PR got
Right.
so
I see.
yeah, there was a little bit of a discrepancy.
Gotcha. Okay, makes sense.
Yep.
Cool. So that's everything on our PR list. So going back to our agenda here. And as a general announcement, we released Ratify 1.1 early this week. Thank you for everyone's contribution and thanks for driving the release, Akash. Moving to the discussion items. First one is update the verifier report documentation. Juncheng, is this an item you want to discuss?
This one was for like this Tuesday, and Akash has already helped me with merge this one. This PR is closed for some verified issue. We have opened a new, we have opened a new PR and got merged already, so we can
Okay,
skip this
so
item.
this one's resolved.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Sorry, one question. So Juncheng, for the documentation PR, do you plan to update some of the other references?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, yeah, that'd be great. Thanks.
And I know we've been working with Akash and on the validation of the just released verifiers, and you had some feedback and you posted some suggestions. And we're also working on trying to figure out the configuration issues with the SBOM verifier in your environment. Just wondering, do you want to go through the validation results doc to see if we need to take any action item to improve the verifier? Is that something you want to go through today?
Yeah, we can discuss that. By the way, who helped me to put this as an agenda? I didn't do that.
Yeah, I
maybe
did it.
Susan. Okay, great. We can discuss that. Yeah, if you can open this
Yeah,
link.
sure.
I think we can focus on the vulnerability verification first. There are some other things related to some general questions. So I use this tag gen. -1 means the first issue for general issues. There are others. And in this document, I also try to list the issue I found for the spawn, but I didn't complete that yet. So we can focus on the vulnerability first. So if you can scroll down through them, I think I have this one. So this one actually, I think maybe we can consider to improve the logs, and I think it could be valid for other verifiers. For example, in this case, we don't have any vulnerability reports attached. And if I run the image, I will receive denied, right? And I will then check the logs from Ratify pot, and I got this verification field error referrals not found. And actually, I know what referrals means, but in this case, it could be we have the policy that we require the user that need to have at least one vulnerability report, or in other cases, at least the spawn file attached. But with this error log, I don't know, maybe for some, because I'm an advanced user, I think, but for a normal user, they don't know what happened, right? It's just said referrals not found. So it's better that we can make it more specific. For example, no vulnerability report found, or no spawn found, something like that.
Bimbin Akash, is the message refers not found coming from the executor or the verifier?
Yeah, it's coming from the executor, so we could try to make the error more generic, that we couldn't find any supply chain or artifacts associated with this image, which is why it failed. Getting specific as to what we were looking for that we didn't find. I don't know how we do that at the top of my head, but we could take a look at it into it and see what we can improve here.
Yeah, maybe some artifact type we can consider. So we don't discuss details and also how to fix this in this meeting. I just we can first walk through all the logs errors that I think we can potentially improve it. And this one, the result passed, so we can scroll down. The third one for vulnerability, yeah, this one is actually as a user, I have a list of disallowed severities for vulnerabilities, right? So with this test, I have I in the configuration I mentioned that I expect no critical and high vulnerabilities in the report. And this is the verification. It actually passed, but the message is not clear. Similar as previous one, when I run an image, I received denied. Then I use then I check the Ratify port logs, and I receive this. And actually, this is a very long message because currently we include all the violated vulnerabilities in the extensions field. And on the message part, if you see in this screen in the middle, in the message, it says vulnerability report validation failed. As a user, I don't know what's the reason about that. But when what's the specific reason for the validation failure? Because I have several rules. As I mentioned, the severity is just one. And then I go to the extension, I found that it is a list of all the critical and high vulnerabilities. So I think for normal user, they don't know what happened. But I think I am an advanced user. I know that we list all the high or critical vulnerabilities. So that means we found the high or high vulnerabilities, right? So that's the reason for validation. So I think maybe we can improve the log. At least in the message part, we can be more specific. This verification failure is due to there are vulnerabilities found in the disallowed severities. So that the user knows, oh, yes, I configured that severity disallowed list, and the verification detect that, so it's a fail. And I don't think currently we need to list all the critical or high vulnerabilities with all the details, because there are two things. One is this information is this information existing in the vulnerability report. Another thing is that if there are many vulnerabilities, so that means the logs will be flushed. So it's not that easy for me to find the first part of this message. So in my case, I'm at the very bottom of the logs. So I scroll up several times. I still didn't find this very first failure message. So it's very hard. Then I need to export it to another file, and I try to find some keyword to search. Then I find this message, vulnerability report violation failed. Then I figure out, oh, this long log is due to the extension contains too many vulnerability. And there could be other case. For example, if a user want to block media severity, that could mean even more vulnerabilities. So my suggestion is that for now, I think we should be specific on what is the reason that the validation failed. It is due to some vulnerabilities detected according to the disallowed list. And for the extensions, we don't need to include all these details. At least later, some user told us that they expect some other information, then we can consider adding those in the extension. This is another one. Maybe Susan, you can scroll down.
Yeah, just wondering if the message said like report validation failed. Please see the severity violations for the validation failure. Would that be more helpful?
But this,
So like in the message,
sent-
if we point to the customer that you should look for this element in the extension field.
but it is still not that intuitive. I still need to figure, because I configure several rules for verification, right? So I need to figure out what's the rules I configured. So yeah, I can take a look at this severity violations and figure out it is due to high or critical vulnerabilities. But I expect this message could be more intuitive. So when I see this message, I know which rules was violated. And then I can think about any details I want to know in order to remediate it, right? So I think we can have some information in the extension, but including the list of all the vulnerabilities is too much, at least for now.
I see. Bin, you have your hand up?
Yeah, so I want to mention that one reason we keep the message short is that Xinghe suggested before that the message is too long, so they cannot like display some of them. So that's why because before that we add a lot of like details to the message, and most of them are just truncated by their system. So so that's why we just keep the message as short as possible.
Yeah, thanks, Bingbing. I'm aware of that. So there could be two options. One is in the message field, we try to be more conscious and clear, right? If not, we can add more information in the extensions. But speaking of the Xinghe's case, whether they will fetch all the information from both message and the extension, that is a question, because if we didn't specify a reason in the message, and Xinghe use this message for the users, then it will not be clear for our users, right? What happened? So I think we can discuss that. What is the best way the message can be conscious and also clear, so user can know what happened and they can do some actions.
Yeah, I think I think so. Basically, kind of what you're alluding to is having some sort of failure type. So one type can be failure because of something found in the deny list. Another type could be because of the vulnerability report is more than 24 hours old. So it's kind of more of a concept of giving the user kind of what was the type of failure that was that failed, right? And then if it's like maybe something in the deny list, then they can look in the sort of like the extensive markdown message in which one that one might be.
Yeah, I think that's it's similar. What I expect that is in the message, we can try to be more conscious and also clear what happened. And in the extensions, there will be additional information for troubleshooting or anything that the user expected. So maybe, Susan, you can scroll down to see a comparison with the deny list. So in the deny list, you can see we also have the same message. So when users see this message, they don't know what happened. They just know it failed, but they don't know what's the reasons. Then they can go to the extension to see, yeah, it's some, I configured this deny list, right? And we found this CVEs. So in the extension, it's not that intuitive. It's just list the deny list CVEs. So there's no place to mention that this failure is due to something we found that it is not allowed in the list that user configured, right? User needed to do some processing in their brain, I think, and figure out the reason. So my suggestion is that maybe we can consider in the message field, we can try to be more clear. For example, in this case, vulnerability report validation failed due to CVE detected in the deny list. That is short and the user know what happened. And in the extension, we list the CVE that user configured, right? So user will be very clear on what happened and know what to do.
Yep, thanks for that suggestion. Next one is verify
Next
an
one.
image.
Okay, this one is what Akash just we just discussed about that PR. So if a vulnerability report is compliant with the policies, but still it is denied, it is due to that template we use the name. Actually, we should use type. So this one, I think it was fixed once it will be fixed once that PR merged. Could you scroll down? Yeah, this is also fixed due to this caching issue on the latest gatekeeper. We can scroll down. This is not related to the log improvements.
I see. So you were running the deploying the image, but it didn't hit Ratify because of the gatekeeper cache.
From user point of view, it was always denied. Then I want to check the reason, but there's no reason in the logs. You can see the
because
logs.
it's not hitting the Ratify server, because at gatekeeper it's thinking, oh, I have a response for this request.
Yeah, I think that is the reason. Yeah.
So what was the fix from gatekeeper? I remember that it was like a one failed issue, right? Oh, the flag. Okay, makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember that. Okay.
Yeah, the default value they chose was 3 minutes. So that's way too long. So
right. So we should just consider this flag to be a shorter time.
Yeah. Akash just updated the Ratify docs to set a very short cache. So then they won't have any issue following our walkthroughs.
Yeah, speaking of this, so we should also mention this to, I mean, Xinghe's team, or I mean, when we use the image integrity, they should also configure this for gatekeeper, right? Or I don't know.
yes, yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
I'll follow up with him. He's already aware of this issue, but I'm not sure what the plans are for them to actually change the config on their side. But I can follow up.
Okay, great.
Yeah. So maybe the current default is 3 minutes.
Yes, it is 3 minutes. And I'd actually asked why it was 3 minutes. And they said that, oh, it's just 3 minutes because that's what makes sense. So I told them, oh, we're looking at something closer to 10 seconds. And their guidance was, well, we think that's a little bit too short, but you can go for it and you can override the value in your scenario. So
okay. So it is a detail, it's specific to the Azure policy workflow. But at least we should check their documentation to see if it's actually documented somewhere, and how would a customer would a customer be able to override it? I don't know if it's currently configurable. But anyway,
so
that's
yeah,
Azure specific.
Yeah, this flag is from the open source gatekeeper side. So Azure stuff that we'd have to discuss.
Yeah.
Yeah, yes, and I think by default, if we want to enforce this policy by default, right, that means basically every cluster will have this short period, whether that is a problem. We can follow up that later.
Yeah.
For the number 6, number 7, I didn't complete that yet. I think there's one for the freshness. Can you scroll down?
Is it like a general plugin or
No, it is
no?
about the vulnerability freshness. We by default we set the 24 hours. Can you scroll up? I think for that the message is very clear. Can you scroll up? Up. Can you scroll up?
This one,
Okay,
Max,
this one. Yeah.
Yeah, older.
Yeah, actually, this one passed, but this is the case that we have a very old vulnerability report. So I think this message is very clear. So I run the image, I received the deny, and I checked the log. The message field said it is due to the report is older. So it is very clear for the user what happened, and they know, oh yes, the vulnerability is too old. Then they need to attach a new one. So it's very clear and the user know what to do. I think this is a good example. And also, if you scroll right, no, not scroll down, scroll right, just that message.
Scroll to the right.
No,
Right
no.
here.
Can you scroll
No.
up to
This
scroll
one.
up to the this one? That's you can see also in this message also the 1 hour is also the value user configured is also in this message. So I think this is very good. It actually I updated this configuration to 1 hour freshness, and then the verification passed, and with very clear message, and the user know this is the value they configured. So I think this is a very good example. So just
Yeah.
one question, as Bingbing mentioned, maybe this is too long, but we can figure out later whether this is too long.
Yeah, I can see for the age, it's a static, like a single value, whereas the deny list, it could be a user configured very long list, so we cannot leave it.
Yes.
We cannot just print out the user input.
Okay, I saw the
Akash
message
said
from
this is the Copilot generated one.
This is actually very good. As we just discussed, we cannot list all the detailed information, for example, for deny list and also disallowed severities. Those can be in the extension field. But for the message, we can try our best to keep it short and also clear.
Yeah, thanks for running through all the testing. It's very useful to get a different perspective. Would you be able to create an overall tracking issue for the messaging improvement in the GitHub repository?
Yeah, I can do that. I plan to complete the spawn testing yesterday, but I didn't manage it. So I will continue to do that, and I will combine the messages with vulnerability together and create an issue, for improvements.
Yeah, we should create separate improvement issues for vulnerability report and the SBOM.
I mean, for the log, you expect separate issue, even for the log improvements.
Yeah, we'll talk about the message improvement. It's at the verifier level, but the error improvements between the plugin and Ratify, it should be tracked differently because it's a different design.
No problem.
Needed.
Yeah, no
thank
problem.
you.
I can create one issue for vulnerability verification and another for spawn. No problem for that.
Yeah, thank you. And we have a scheduled meeting offline later to work through the SBOM verifier. For this one, the wrong constraint and template used in the document, i.e. currently the configuration, the default configuration for the policy is the config policy in Ratify, and that handles like you can say you're looking for a nested notary signature in the SBOM, etc. And the default constraint here validates if the overall success status from the Ratify config policy. So, which is why we can, like in a simple scenario, if we're just looking for, did Ratify give an overall success? The default template is good enough, which is why we're just using the default template in the SBOM walkthrough.
Okay. First, it is different from the vulnerability report document.
Yeah.
Second is I think there are still some logic for spawn, right? I remember for vulnerability, we also consider the signature verification, but by default we disable that. So maybe the general regel is not good enough. But we can discuss that. And another problem for this is it is not pointing to any version. I think this is the main right. We should point into a specific release version for that.
Yeah,
Even we want
just
to use
similar
the general
to the similar to the vulnerability walkthrough, right?
Yeah, even we want to use a general one for spawn, we should also point into a specific version.
Yes, I agree. Yeah, for the default template, because default
Yeah,
template will change from time to time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I will
we
be
can
able to
discuss
do
this
that.
further. Yeah.
And yeah, so Akash, the SBOM validation template, in the previous PR you pointed out, like, is this an existing template?
Oh, I thought you had made that one.
Oh, okay, I actually didn't add this one because all my testing with the nested notary was with the config policy, config policy, which will produce a general result, and then I use the default template to validate. So I'll have a look at what is the context for the SBOM validation. I think it could be valid, like it may be added by Kara's team or Eric, but I'll have a look at the history.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah. And the general plugin error,
I can expand that. This is happened yesterday. Firstly, I install Gatekeeper with the new period 10 seconds, and I install Ratify with vulnerability verifiers. Then I didn't when I produce this logs, I didn't reinstall Ratify. I just create a configuration file according to the document and apply that so that I have a spawn verifier. Then I produce SPDX according to the guide and attach it to the images. So you can see the image will have two vulnerability report. One is very old report, another is a new report. Then I also have a spawn file. And I run the images, it was denied, and I check the logs. I see the logs is, for at least for the vulnerability, is very clear, and I think it is correct. But for the spawn, I met this issue. It seems like some configuration was wrong or something. My understanding is it doesn't hit the logic of verify this SPDX yet.
Question on the how you applied E. So you mentioned you didn't reinstall Ratify. So what did you apply to enable the S1 verifier?
I found the configuration in the Spawn documentation, the YAML file, how to configure a Spawn verifier. Then I follow that guide to create a configuration file
Yeah,
and
just
apply that. So the
is it
idea
in the
here
CRD or
is
I just
you
wonder,
can
like, do we have some CR that's out of date? So that's why I'm asking which walkthrough it is. Like, we may have documentation gaps.
you can click external plugins
Yep.
and click verifiers, and then click Spawn validation. Then you scroll down to configuration section.
Got it, got it.
Yes, I use this one.
And you
Yeah, I created
applied,
a file. Yeah,
yeah,
and I apply this.
got it. And I'm thinking this should override. So yeah, I think what should happen is at the initial install of Ratify, you didn't install, so SBOM verifier is not enabled, but the SBOM verifier the binary itself should still be deployed. It's just that there's no CR. And when you apply the CR, it should have enabled the SBOM verifier. So this should have worked, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Okay, you can
yeah.
go ahead.
So actually, this scenario is that I know that in the documentation we mentioned during installation of Ratify, we can enable vulnerability verification and put the configuration, right? And we can also additional enable spawn file. But in a case that during installation, that user may not know what verifier they want to enable at that time. They need to do that after installation. And this is also a case that later, if we introduce the other verifiers or something, we can consider without reinstall Ratify, we can dynamically apply those verifiers. So this case is that user apply the verification after installation. Then there should be a way, right? For example, in our case, Ratify 1.1, we support 2 verifiers for vulnerability and spawn, and I can install Ratify first, then later apply the verification, right? So this is the
this
case.
is a valid scenario for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Akash, you have your hand up?
So just one question for Yi. Did you try this a few different times and you were seeing that
Described
sometimes it
in
would
the doc.
run?
So we can.
Oh,
Sorry, Akash, can you repeat the question?
sure. Yi, did you find that you were able to consistently reproduce this issue? Or did you find that sometimes it worked and sometimes you would get errors, or some plugins would error out and some wouldn't?
I think I didn't. So firstly, I didn't try several times, but when this problem happens, I try to run image several times. I hit the same logs. Then after that, I think maybe there are some problems that because I didn't apply spawn during installation, then I reinstalled Ratify with spawn enabled. At that time, I didn't enable the vulnerability. And I met the same issue, the same log produced, even I reinstall Ratify with spawn. And after that, I try to, at that time, I install Ratify with spawn enabled. Then I also try to enable vulnerability verification after install Ratify. And I met another issue. As you know that I have 2 vulnerability reports, right? So one vulnerability report, the verifier produced correct log, it is too old. but another vulnerability report has the same error as the spawn file.
Got it. Yeah. So this is, unfortunately, we don't have logs that get outputted from the external plugin, which makes it very difficult to actually see what went wrong. But I'm curious if you're running into the same issue that our CI tests sometimes run into, where it fails to create the OCI store due to the race condition that we have an issue filed for. But again, we wouldn't really know until we have logs for the external plugins. So maybe it's time that we prioritize fixing that as well.
Yeah, if we can have more logs from the verifier,
I
it will
see.
be helpful, because currently, no matter it is Aura's store I met previously or this plugin case, I didn't know what happened and what should I do, right? I also, because this is also very general message, it is also not easy for us to write a troubleshooting guide, something like that. So it will be very hard. So maybe we can, consider how to produce logs from the verifiers or stores.
So Kash, if it's the OCI issue, like one validation we could do, if there's only one artifact, it'll succeed. But if there's multiple artifacts and if they're trying to do validation at the same time, then we'll see. I think basically this error message is there's no error. Plugin failed with error and it's kind of empty, right?
Yeah, so that's another issue. I'm not sure exactly what it's trying to print out. I think that's just the
Exactly.
top line of, or something like that.
So I was confused when I saw this message that, so the verifier returns a verifier report. Did this come from a error returned by the plugin or a verifier report from the plugin? The reason I'm asking, like, Akash, I thought for both of the newly added verifiers, we've made sure it doesn't return an error. Like for the error field, it returns nil. And then we try to embed the error in the verifier report itself.
Yeah, that's also another good point. That actually points to my original hypothesis, because this error would come from when the plugin was trying to create the Aura store. That's where the OCI store under the hood gets initialized. So if there are any conflicts at that point, I think it would manifest as an error here.
Okay, so it's not the verifier report that's returned, it's the error from the plugin.
Yes.
Got it.
But
Okay,
I need to double check on the
yeah.
implementation.
Yeah. And the other improvement is like we need to figure out probably why the Docker info message is captured as a part of the error.
Yes.
Because this is it is from some random stream, but we don't expect info to be here. So yes, for the error handling, there's a little bit of work to figure out what's happening. But Akash, could you post the OCI issue link to the chat?
Sure. Let me find it and I'll post it.
Yeah, thank you. So yeah, so later when we investigate the SBOM, we could also validate if the SBOM artifact is the only artifact that's attached to the image, would we see the same error or not? Yeah, but that's a good point, Akash. Thanks for reminding us about the OCI race condition. So if it was the root cause, Akash, how do we confirm? And should we consider bringing the, like we talked about implementing a lock, maybe that's possible. Should we bring it to 1.2? Do you think, should we change the priority?
If it was this issue, then we would need to I think we first need to fix the error logging so that we can actually surface it up, because we need to see the the error being outputted from the external plugin binary when it's run. I think that's where the error would
Yeah.
be. And then the second part for actually fixing it, if it is the issue, I think last time we discussed like some sort of proc locks, like a process lock to see each process will try to lay claim on the file and then see if there's another process that's using it. So if the file is busy or something like that. But I think this would require some more exploration and design.
Yeah, thank you. We'll do more investigation. Okay. The next item on the agenda is the holiday meeting schedule. So some of us will be off for Christmas next week, or for me, I will be off the last week of the December month. Do we want to reduce the community meeting and the PR meeting, like to have some quiet time for everyone? Should we, I just want to get a sense, like which one should we keep? And in case we want to run meetings for the last week of December, Bin, Akash, will you be around to take the community meeting if we have it on?
I should be around. Yeah, I don't have any planned vacation yet.
I mean, my recommendation here is let's cancel the last week. Let's just make sure we inform the Slack meeting. And then, yeah, I think not meeting one week of the year, it's okay. And you all just released, so I think it's a good time to take a breather. Does that make sense? So basically, maybe, Susan, if you want to drive next week's community meeting and then just cancel the last one of the year.
Yep, sounds good. I'll put an announcement at the top of the meeting notes as well.
Yeah, I also agree with that. We should take some time to recharge and also enjoy time with families.
So we have 3 minutes left today. So the other item that we should do, now we've released 1.1, we should do a triage of the items that we have into 1.2. Should we do that in the Monday meeting next week?
I think next week Luis will not join, right?
Yeah, I'm not gonna be around.
So yeah, I think maybe we can discuss this. I mean, finalize this triage in general when everyone is back, and in upcoming weeks, we can, if people join the planning or next week, we can discuss that. And in general, in 1.2, we will focus on the cosine support and also some log improvements and also this verifier log, as Akash mentioned. We will see how much we can do in 1.2, but in general, this will be the three focus area for us.
I also Bin will be starting with the multi-tenancy.
Yeah. Sorry for missing that, but also multi-tenancy. Yeah, the general, this will be the four parts we can discuss in upcoming weeks, but in general, when everyone back, we can finalize the scope.
Yeah, sounds good. Cool. That's everything today. Anything else before we wrap up?
No.
All right. Thanks for joining, everyone. We'll meet again next week, and if you're taking vacation next week, happy holidays, and I'll see you next year, and have Happy New Year as well.
Yeah,
Take care.
happy holidays. Yeah,
Thank you,
thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Talk
Thank
to you
you.
later.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.